Captain Minu stood on the bridge of watching the stars through the main window. His ship had been traveling for 3 months, exploring space that no human had ever seen before. The crew was excited. They were making history. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Lieutenant from his station. His fingers moved quickly across the controls. Multiple ships ahead, very large signatures. Minu walked over to look at the screen. 20 contacts showed on the display, each one bigger than his ship. His heart beat faster, but he kept his face calm. "Are they moving toward us?" "Not yet, sir. They seem to be waiting." Doctor looked up from her science station. "This is it. First contact with an alien species. We need to follow protocol. Open communications show peaceful intent." Minu nodded. "Send out the standard greeting message, all frequencies." They waited. Minutes passed slowly. Then the screen lit up with an incoming transmission. The face that appeared was nothing like human. Purple skin, 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern, and a mouth that seemed to have too many teeth. The alien wore elaborate armor covered in symbols. "I am General of the Empire," the alien said. The ship's computer translated his words. "You have entered our territory. You will power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Your species will be evaluated for usefulness." Minu felt his crew tense around him. He kept his voice steady. "I am Captain Minu of Earth. We come in peace. We did not know this space belonged to anyone. We can leave and discuss borders through proper diplomatic channels." Made a sound that might have been laughter. "Peace is what the strong offer to the weak when they are merciful. You are weak. You have 1 ship. I have 20. This is not a negotiation. This is an instruction." Whispered urgently. "Captain, their body language suggests they view us as inferior. This might be a cultural thing. They might not understand the concept of equals." Minu thought quickly. He had served in the military before becoming an explorer. He knew what happened when you showed weakness to a bully. "General, with respect, we decline your offer. We will leave your space immediately. Please do not interfere." The alien's 4 eyes widened. For a moment he seemed genuinely surprised. Then his face twisted with anger. "No species has ever refused the Empire. You will learn respect. 3 of my ships will teach you." The communication ended. On the display, 3 of the alien ships began moving toward them. They were each twice the size of the battle stations, Minu ordered. Alarms began wailing throughout the ship. "What are our options?" "Not good, sir. Their shields are stronger than ours. Their weapons have longer range. In a straight fight, we lose in under 5 minutes. "Then we don't fight straight." Minu smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had survived bad situations before. "What did you learn about their ship designs from the scans?" His fingers flew across her console. "Their ships are beautifully designed, very efficient, everything balanced perfectly. But Captain, that means no redundancy. Each system does one job. If we damage the right system, the whole ship could fail." "Good. Plot a course directly at the lead ship. Maximum speed." Turned to stare at him. "Sir, that's suicide." "No, it's psychology. Trust me." They accelerated. The alien ships opened fire, but Minu had the ship weaving and dodging. Shots that should have hit them missed by meters. The alien gunners were good, but they followed patterns. Humans were chaos. "Captain, they're not moving," reported. "The lead ship is holding position. They think we'll break off." "We won't, not yet." Minu watched the distance close. 5,000 meters, 4,000, 3,000. He could imagine the alien captain getting nervous now. "Now, emergency turn, starboard side, and fire everything at their engine section as we pass." The twisted in space. The human ship passed so close to the alien vessel that their shields sparked against each other. Every weapon on the fired at once, concentrated on one spot. The alien ship's engine section exploded. "1 down," Minu said. 2 to go. Any ideas?" "Their ships use a centralized power system. if we could overload it somehow. The second alien ship fired. This time the shot connected, the shook violently, lights flickered. Shields at 40%, reported. Hull breach on Deck 3, damage control teams responding. Minu made a decision that would have horrified a commander. Open all the airlocks on Deck 3. Blow the atmosphere out. Captain, do it now. The airlocks opened. Air rushed out into space, and with it went debris, furniture, and equipment. The cloud of material spread out between them and the alien ships, creating a dense field of obstacles. The alien sensors couldn't penetrate it clearly. Emergency power to engines, Minu ordered. Take us into the asteroid field behind us. Sir, our shields can't handle that many impacts. Neither can theirs, but we're smaller and faster. Move. They dove into the asteroid field. The alien ships followed, but they were slow and cautious. Minu had his pilot weaving between asteroids at speeds that made the crew grab their seats. Twice, they scraped against rocks, alarms screaming. Loop around that big asteroid, Minu said, pointing. Then wait. They hid behind a massive asteroid, all power reduced to minimum. On the sensors, they watched one alien ship pass by their position. It was searching but couldn't find them. One shot, make it count, target their bridge. They swung out from behind the asteroid. One missile launched, catching the alien ship completely by surprise. It struck the command section perfectly. The alien ship went dark and began drifting. The third alien ship was smart. It stopped pursuing and began backing away. Let it go, Minu said. We've made our point. The alien ship retreated to the rest of the fleet. It was badly damaged, but it could still fly. Minu ordered a course back to human space at maximum speed. Captain said quietly, we just defeated 3 warships with 1 exploration vessel. They're going to tell their superiors about this. I know. Minu watched the alien fleet shrink on the display. I think we just made humanity's reputation in this part of space. I'm just not sure if that's good or bad. On the lead ship, General was reviewing the battle footage for the 10th time. He watched the human ship charge directly at them without fear. He watched it use tactics no civilized species would consider. He watched it sacrifice part of itself to survive. And he watched the human captain laughing while executing a maneuver that should have destroyed his own ship. What kind of species does this? Muttered to his second in command. What kind of creature risks everything on a single move? His officer had no answer. Neither did. But deep in his mind, in a place he rarely acknowledged, a small seed of doubt had been planted. These humans might be more dangerous than they appeared. Much more dangerous. 3 months had passed since the first encounter. The news had spread across both human and space. Earth's government decided to send a diplomat before things got worse. That diplomat was Ambassador. Her ship approached the under heavy escort. The planet was beautiful from orbit, covered in blue oceans and green continents. It looked peaceful, almost like a garden. Wondered what it must have been like to evolve on such a gentle world. The council chamber was enormous. Hundreds of officials sat in curved rows, all watching as entered. She walked calmly, her head high, even though she was the only human in the room. General sat near the front, his 4 eyes fixed on her. The High Counselor spoke first. Ambassador of Earth, your species has committed violence against vessels. We have summoned you to hear the terms of your surrender. Smiled politely. With respect, Counselor, we have not come to surrender. We have come to prevent a war that neither of our species needs. Murmurs spread through the chamber, leaned forward. You have 1 world and a handful of ships. We have 10,000 worlds and fleets beyond counting. Why would we not simply take what we want? Because, General, you don't understand what you would be fighting. Touched a control on her wrist. A holographic display appeared above the chamber floor. Let me tell you about humanity. Images began to appear. First, Earth itself rotating slowly. This is our world, we call it Earth. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? But appearances lie. Earth is what we call a death world. The display zoomed in to show a massive storm. Our weather can destroy cities in hours. Our planet has belts where the air itself tries to tear everything apart. Another image showed a volcanic eruption. Our ground explodes with fire. Our continents move and crash together, creating earthquakes that flatten mountains. Counselor, the science advisor, leaned forward with interest. Surely your species found shelter from these disasters. We did better than that. We adapted. New images appeared, showing various animals. These are the creatures we shared our world with. This one weighs 6 tons and can run faster than our early vehicles. This one has teeth longer than your hand and claws that can tear through steel. This one has venom that can kill in minutes. We competed with all of them for survival. His voice stayed calm as she spoke. And we won. Not because we were stronger or faster. We won because we never gave up. We chased our prey for days until it died of exhaustion. We hunted in packs. We used our intelligence to create weapons. And most importantly, we remembered every species that tried to kill us, and we killed them back. She pulled up an image of human eyes. Look at our eyes, counselor. Where are they positioned? Studied the image. His skin color shifted slightly, a sign of unease in biology. Forward-facing. That is a predator trait. Prey species have eyes on the sides of their heads to watch for danger. Correct, we are predators. We evolved hunting and killing. Brought up more images. This is our history. These are our wars. The images that followed showed the worst of human conflict. Trenches filled with bodies. Cities destroyed by atomic fire. Soldiers fighting in frozen wastelands and burning jungles. The watched in silence. In our first global war, we killed 17 million of our own species. In our second, we killed over 60 million. We created weapons that could destroy all life on our planet, and we built enough of them to do it several times over. We have fought wars that lasted 30 years. We have fought wars that lasted 100 years. We have never known a generation that did not see war. Stood up. This only proves you are barbaric. Civilization means moving past such violence. Turned to face him directly. Does it, General? Tell me, how many species has the Empire conquered? How many wars have you fought? We fight only when necessary, and we fight with honor. Honor? Smile was cold. Let me tell you about human honor, General. When we fight, we don't stop when things get difficult. We don't stop when we're outnumbered. We don't stop when logic says we should. We have a word for continuing to fight when there's no hope of winning. We call it spite. She walked closer to the council. Humans will hurt themselves if it means hurting their enemy more. We will sacrifice our own lives to ensure our opponent loses. We will fight with broken bones, with organs failing, with our last breath. And we will smile while doing it. Was working on his data pad furiously. Ambassador, I have been studying your species biology. This cannot be correct. Your files say humans can ignore pain signals, that you can force your bodies to continue functioning past normal limits. Yes, we call it adrenaline. In times of stress, our bodies flood with chemicals that make us stronger, faster, and immune to pain. Humans have been known to lift vehicles off trapped children, to run on broken legs, to fight with injuries that should have killed them. That is impossible. The body has limiters to prevent such damage. Human bodies have those limiters too. We just ignore them. Brought up medical scans. We also heal faster than most species you've encountered. We can survive the loss of major organs. We can adapt to environments that would kill other species. We are very, very difficult to kill. The chamber was silent now. Even had sat back down, his expression troubled. The High Counselor spoke again, his voice less confident than before. This is meant to frighten us, but technology defeats biology. Our weapons are more advanced than yours. For now, agreed. But we learn quickly, General. We adapt. It's what we do best. 300 years ago, humans couldn't fly. 200 years ago, we couldn't leave our planet. 50 years ago, we couldn't travel faster than light. Every time we face a problem, we solve it. Every time we face a barrier, we break through it. We don't know how to give up because giving up means dying, and we are very good at not dying. She touched her wrist control again. The display changed to show Earth's moon, then Mars, then colonies throughout the solar system. We spread, counselor. We take hostile environments and make them livable. We look at impossible challenges and see opportunities. And most importantly, we remember threats. His voice grew harder. If you make humanity your enemy, we will remember. We will learn everything about you. We will find your weaknesses. We will adapt our tactics. We will never stop coming. You might win battles. You might win wars. But we will make sure the cost is so high that you wish you had never heard of Earth. Commander appeared on a secondary display. Counselors, I am commander of Earth's defense fleet. While Ambassador has been speaking, my ships have taken position around 3 of your colony worlds. We have not fired a single shot. We have not threatened anyone, but we want you to understand something. If you attack Earth, we will respond. And we will fight like humans fight, with everything we have, no matter the cost. The High Counselor looked angry now. You threaten us, you dare. Not a threat, said quietly. A warning. You wanted to evaluate humanity for usefulness. Consider yourself evaluated. We are not useful. We are not easy. We are not what you expect. We are the species that climbed to the top of our food chain on a death world, and we remember how we got there. She turned to leave, then paused. I leave you with one final thought, counselors. Every species you have conquered evolved on worlds like yours. Safe worlds, garden worlds. They never had to fight for survival the way humans did. They never had to become what we became. So ask yourselves, do you really want to find out what happens when you fight a species of predators who have spent their entire existence learning how to kill things that are bigger and stronger than they are? As left the chamber, pulled aside. General, I have completed my analysis of human biology and psychology. We need to recommend against this war. Why? Because they are not like other species. Most species fight to achieve victory. These humans fight to avoid defeat, and that is far more dangerous. A species fighting for victory will stop when the cost becomes too high. A species fighting to avoid defeat will never stop. They will destroy themselves before they let us win. Looked at the data showed him. Human physiology, human history, human psychology. All of it painted a picture of a species that should not exist. A species too stubborn to die, too aggressive to surrender, too adaptable to defeat permanently. The Council will never accept this, said. We have never retreated from a lesser species. Then we will learn a very expensive lesson, General. The Council voted to reject peace. They demanded colonization rights to Earth. When Ambassador returned to her ship, she found Commander waiting. They said no, he asked. They said no. Then we prepare for war. Looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, humanity's fate was being decided. She hoped they would realize their mistake before too many died on both sides, but she doubted it. Pride was a powerful drug, and they had been using it for 10,000 years. General stood on the command deck of his flagship, watching the fleet assemble. 5,000 ships, the largest battle group the Empire had sent in a century. They were approaching IV, a human colony world with only 20,000 settlers. It should be an easy victory. General, we are in position, his tactical officer reported. Human defensive fleet detected, 40 ships. 40 against 5,000, felt satisfied. They cannot possibly believe they can win. Perhaps they will surrender, General. Perhaps, but I doubt it. Had studied the first battle reports many times. He knew these humans did not think like civilized species. Proceed with the attack. Show no mercy. They must learn the price of defiance. The fleet moved forward in perfect formation. It was beautiful, really. Thousands of ships moving as one, their weapons ready, their shields synchronized. This was how proper warfare was conducted, with order, with discipline, with certainty. Then the humans attacked, and order disappeared. The 40 human ships did not fight as a fleet. They split into groups of 4 or 5 and scattered in different directions. Ships turned to pursue, breaking formation to chase them. Tactical maintain formation, ordered. Do not let them divide us. But it was too late. Human ships were faster and more maneuverable. They led vessels away from the main fleet, then ambushed them from hiding spots in asteroid fields. They used the planet's moon as cover. They hid in the debris of destroyed ships. One destroyer pursued a human frigate into a narrow canyon on IV's moon. The human ship suddenly reversed direction using maneuvering thrusters, something that should have been impossible at that speed. It shot past the destroyer and fired everything at the canyon walls. Millions of tons of rock collapsed onto the ship. "This is not warfare," second-in-command said. "This is chaos." "It is effective chaos," admitted grudgingly. "Order the landing forces. Take the colony. If we hold hostages, perhaps they will surrender." 3,000 soldiers landed on IV. The colony was small, built around several farming settlements. Intelligence said there were only 200 human soldiers defending the entire planet. The forces should overwhelm them in hours. Sergeant Ara watched the alien ships land from her hidden position in the hills. She had 40 people under her command, 40 against 3,000. The math was not in her favor, but math did not account for determination. "Listen up," she said to her unit over the radio. "We cannot stop them by fighting fair, so we do not fight fair. We make them afraid. We make them doubt. We make them wish they had never landed here. Understood?" 40 voices confirmed. Ara smiled grimly. "Good. Execute harassment protocol Alpha." The forces advanced on the first settlement. It appeared deserted. They searched the buildings carefully, finding no one. Then the explosion started. Buildings detonated as they entered. Streets collapsed into hidden tunnels. Automated turrets opened fire from concealed positions. A squad leader reported to his commander, "Sir, we have taken heavy casualties in the first settlement. 20 dead, 50 wounded. From 200 soldiers." "We have not seen a single human soldier, sir. Only traps and automated weapons." "Listen to these reports from orbit. They are hiding like cowards. Use heavy weapons. Destroy any building that could contain threats." But destroying the buildings only made things worse. Human soldiers were not in the buildings. They were in tunnels underground. They attacked from behind, killed a few, then disappeared before reinforcements arrived. They struck at night when soldiers had poor visibility. They used human weapons that made no sound, killing sentries silently. Engineer was particularly creative. He took farming equipment and converted it into weapons. A fertilizer spreader became a chemical weapon launcher. A harvester became a mobile barrier covered in explosives. An irrigation system became a network of tunnels for quick movement. "This one is my favorite," he told Ara, showing her a modified tractor. "I filled the cargo section with explosives and set it on remote control. Watch." The tractor drove itself toward a position, grinding along slowly. Soldiers fired at it, confused about why it kept coming. When it got close enough, detonated it. The explosion destroyed an entire squad. Days passed. The forces grew frustrated and frightened. They controlled the land, but they did not feel safe anywhere. Humans attacked at random. There was no pattern, no way to predict where they would strike next. A soldier sat in what should have been a secure position, eating his rations. A human sniper shot him from 800 meters away. His took cover and called for support. But no second shot came. The human had already moved. Another patrol found what looked like a wounded human lying in the street. When they approached to capture him, he triggered explosives hidden under his body. 4 died. The human survived with severe injuries but was rescued by his unit hours later. "How can they do this?" an officer asked. "How can they keep fighting with such wounds? That human had broken legs and a collapsed lung, but he still triggered the explosive and tried to shoot at us. Had no answer. This was beyond his understanding of warfare. The breaking point came at the main settlement. 2,000 soldiers surrounded it. Inside were most of the human colonists, protected by just 30 human soldiers led by Ara. Sent a message. Sergeant Ara, you are surrounded. Your position is hopeless. I offer you and your people safe passage off this world if you surrender now. No harm will come to civilians. You have my word as an officer. Ara's response came back quickly. General, thank you for the offer. We appreciate the courtesy. However, we must decline. The colonists have voted. We will not surrender. Not today, not ever. You would rather die? If necessary, yes. But we plan to take as many of your soldiers with us as possible. Stared at the communication screen. They had voted to die. What kind of species votes for death over captivity? You are mad, all of you. Maybe, but we are also free, and we will stay free or die trying. Those are the only options. The assault on the main settlement began at dawn. Soldiers advanced carefully, expecting traps. They found them. Mines exploded. Automated weapons fired from every building. Humans fought from positions that should have been indefensible. Ara fought with 3 broken ribs and a gunshot wound in her shoulder. She should have been in medical care. Instead, she was on the front line directing her troops, firing her weapon and refusing to retreat. When her rifle ran out of ammunition, she used her sidearm. When that ran out, she picked up a weapon and used it. A soldier watched a human take 3 hits that should have been fatal. The human fell, then stood back up and kept shooting. The soldier dropped his weapon and ran. His officers shot him for cowardice, but more soldiers began to hesitate. Fighting an enemy was one thing. Fighting an enemy that refused to die was something else entirely. From orbit, watched his ground forces falter. They had superior numbers and weapons, but they were losing. Not because humans were stronger, not because humans had better equipment, but because humans simply would not stop fighting. General, recommend orbital bombardment, his tactical officer suggested. We can end this now. Reached for the authorization control, then stopped. Human ships were still in the system, lurking somewhere. If he bombed the colony, they would attack. And after watching them fight for days, he was no longer certain his fleet would win that battle. Withdraw ground forces, he ordered instead. Evacuate them immediately. Sorry. You heard me. Get our soldiers off that planet now. The forces retreated to their ships in disorder. They left behind hundreds of dead and wounded. As the last transport lifted off, Ara stood in the settlement's central square watching them go. Her people cheered around her. They had won. 40 soldiers and 2,000 civilians against 3,000 trained warriors, and they had won. Sat in his command chair reviewing the casualty reports. 700 dead, over 1,000 wounded, 6 ships destroyed, 12 heavily damaged, all from one small colony world. High Commander's face appeared on the communication screen. General, explain this disaster. They do not fight like any species we have encountered, High Commander. They use tactics that violate all principles of honorable warfare. They refuse to surrender even when defeat is certain. They sacrifice themselves willingly. I have never seen anything like this. Unacceptable. We cannot allow one species to defy the entire empire. High Commander, with respect, I believe we need to reconsider our approach. These humans are unlike any opponent we have faced. They are willing to pay any price to resist us. Then we will teach them that some prices are too high. You have 6 months to achieve victory, General. Do not fail again. The communication ended. Looked at the tactical display showing human-controlled space. So many worlds, so many potential battlefields, and on each one humans would fight like they fought on IV, desperate, stubborn, insane. For the first time in his military career, felt something he had never experienced before. Something humans called fear, not fear of death, fear of what victory would cost. 6 months into the war, Captain sat in a dark room filled with screens. Her job was psychological warfare, and she was very good at it. On one screen, she watched a news broadcast. On another, she reviewed intercepted military communications. On a third, she prepared humanity's next message. "Director wants results," her assistant said. "The council is getting nervous about resource expenditure." "Tell them we are winning," replied, not looking away from her screens. "Just not the way they expect." On paper, they were winning the war. They controlled more territory. They had destroyed more human ships. The numbers favored them in every category, but numbers did not tell the whole story. Touched a control and a new broadcast began transmitting across space. It showed footage from Earth's history, human wars, human suffering, human endurance. The images showed soldiers fighting in frozen wastelands, their fingers black with frostbite but still holding their weapons. They showed humans running races that lasted for days, pushing their bodies beyond exhaustion for no reason except to prove they could. They showed humans climbing mountains where the air was so thin they could barely breathe, dying by the hundreds, yet others kept climbing. The narration was simple. This is humanity. We do these things to ourselves for sport, for honor, for glory. Imagine what we will do to our enemies. Another broadcast showed human history in detail. The siege of Stalingrad, where humans fought for every building in a frozen city. The Battle of, where humans assaulted a fortified island despite knowing most would die. The trenches of World War I, where humans lived in mud and death for years. "Your empire has fought for 10,000 years, the broadcast said. Humanity has fought for 10,000 years as well. The difference is, we fought ourselves. We know how to make war because we have practiced on the only species crazy enough to fight us, each other." These broadcasts reached every corner of space. At first, military censors tried to block them, but the messages were clever. They posed as scientific documentaries. They appeared on entertainment channels. They spread through civilian networks before anyone realized what they were. Soldiers watched these broadcasts. They saw humans laughing while doing things that should have killed them. They saw humans competing in events called ultramarathons, where they ran for 100 miles. They saw humans diving to depths that should have crushed their bodies. They saw humans going into space with primitive technology that killed them regularly, then going back anyway. "They are insane," one soldier told another after watching a broadcast about human extreme sports. "Who jumps out of an aircraft for fun?" "Humans do," his companion replied, "and we are at war with them." The psychological effect was working. Morale began to crack. Soldiers reported stress. Officers requested reassignment. Some ships experienced equipment failures that investigations revealed were deliberate sabotage by crew members who did not want to fight anymore. War Matron Ara watched these developments with growing concern. She was a military reformist, someone who believed the empire needed to change its ways. She had argued against this war from the beginning. Now she decided to act. She arranged a secret meeting with Director, head of Earth's Strategic Command. They met on a neutral station, both arriving with minimal security. "Director, we need to discuss peace," Ara said directly. "This war is destroying both our civilizations." Studied the officer carefully. "Your empire is winning on every front. Why seek peace now?" "Because winning battles does not mean winning the war. Every human world we take costs us thousands of lives. Our economy is straining. Other species within the empire are watching, seeing our weakness. Some are beginning to rebel. You are bleeding us slowly." "Then surrender," suggested. "I cannot. I am only one voice. General commands the military forces and he refuses to accept defeat. He is planning something, a final strike that he believes will break human resistance." "What kind of strike?" "He will not tell me. but I know he is assembling the largest fleet in history, 10,000 ships. I believe he plans to attack Earth itself." His expression did not change, but Ara saw her grip tighten on the table. "If he attacks Earth, we will defend it with everything we have." "I know, that is what terrifies me. Not that you will lose, but that you will win, and the cost will destroy us both." After the meeting, returned to Earth and met with her military staff. "Is coming for Earth. We need to prepare." "How many ships can we mobilize?" someone asked. 300, maybe 400, if we strip defenses from every other world." "Against 10,000. "Yes," looked at the tactical displays. "Which means we cannot fight them directly. We need to be smarter, we need to be more human." Over the next weeks developed what she called Operation Chaos Protocol. It relied on everything humans did well: improvisation, aggression, unpredictability, and above all, sacrifice. When fleet finally appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, it was magnificent. 10,000 ships, each one powerful, moving in perfect formation. It was the kind of force that had conquered 100 worlds. Earth's defense coordinator detected them immediately. "Admiral, they are here. 10,000 confirmed." Admiral stood on the command deck of humanity's flagship looking at the display. She had 300 ships under her command. The odds were terrible, but she smiled anyway. "Execute Operation Chaos Protocol. Send in the volunteers." 50 human ships broke from Earth's defensive positions and accelerated toward the fleet. Not around it, not away from it, directly toward it. Watch them approach. Only 50 ships, what can they possibly hope to achieve? "Perhaps they seek to surrender, General." Humans do not surrender, had learned that much. Battle stations destroy them. The fleet prepared to fire. The human ships kept coming. They did not dodge, they did not take evasive action. They flew in a straight line, accelerating constantly, faster and faster. "General, they are reaching dangerous speeds. At that velocity, any collision will." The first human ship exploded, but it was not destroyed by weapons. It detonated itself, releasing a massive electromagnetic pulse. Then the second exploded. Then the third. All 50 ships, one after another, detonated in a pattern that washed over the fleet. Every sensor on every ship went dark. Navigation systems failed. Targeting computers crashed. Communication networks dissolved into static. 10,000 ships suddenly became 10,000 blind, deaf vessels floating in space. "Restore systems," shouted. "All ships, restore systems immediately." But it would take time. Minutes, maybe hours to reboot everything. And in space combat, minutes were forever. That was when Earth's real defense fleet attacked. 300 human ships appeared from every direction. They had been hiding in the asteroid belt, behind Earth's moon, in the orbits of other planets. Now they struck at a fleet that could not see them coming. Human ships did not target the largest vessels. They targeted command ships, communication relays, supply vessels. They aimed for chaos, not destruction. One human captain, seeing his weapons depleted, made a decision that horrified his crew and impressed them at the same time. He vented his ship's nuclear reactor, creating a cloud of radioactive plasma, and flew directly into the center of a formation. The radiation disabled a dozen ships. Another captain, her vessel crippled and dying, used her last power to ram a carrier. Both ships exploded, but the carrier had been carrying 400 fighters that never launched. This was not warfare as they understood it. This was madness. This was chaos. This was human. His flagship finally restored partial sensors. What he saw made his blood cold. His perfect formation was gone. Ships were scattered everywhere. Some were firing on each other by mistake. Others were trying to retreat and colliding with their own vessels. And through it all, human ships moved like predators, striking and fatting, never staying in one place long enough to be caught. "All ships rally to the flagship," ordered. form defensive positions. But his communications were still disrupted. Only ships close to him received the message. The rest of his fleet was on its own, each captain making independent decisions based on incomplete information. A human missile struck his flagship's communication array. The blast was small, precisely targeted. It did not destroy the ship, but it severed connection to his fleet entirely. He was a general without an army, watching his forces be torn apart. "General, we must retreat," his tactical officer said. "We are blind and divided. If we stay, they will destroy us one ship at a time." Wanted to refuse, wanted to fight. But he had learned about humans over these months of war. He knew they would never stop. They would sacrifice every ship, every life to defend there. And even if he won, even if he destroyed all 300 human ships and bombarded Earth itself, the cost would cripple the Empire. "Signal retreat," he said quietly. "All ships that can hear us withdraw from the system." The fleet broke apart. Some ships fled. Some stayed to fight. Some tried to surrender and were surprised when humans accepted it. By the time the battle ended, the greatest fleet in history had been shattered by a force 1/30th its size. His flagship limped away, damaged and alone. Around him, space was full of debris and dying ships, both and human. This was his failure, his defeat, his nightmare. Behind him, Earth remained free, bloodied but undefeated. 300 human ships had faced 10,001, not through superior technology or numbers, but through something that could never match: the willingness to sacrifice everything for their home. The command center of his flagship was dark except for emergency lights. Sparks fell from damaged cables. The air smelled of burned metal and fear. Through the main viewport could see human ships surrounding his vessel. They could destroy him at any moment. Instead, they waited. "General, incoming transmission," his communication officer said. "It is from the human admiral. She requests permission to board." Laughed bitterly. "She requests permission. She has won. She can do whatever she wants." "What should I tell her, General?" "Tell her yes. Let her come see what she has done." 20 minutes later, Admiral walked onto the bridge. She wore a simple uniform, no weapons visible, though new human soldiers were nearby. She looked around at the damaged bridge, at the wounded crew, and her expression showed something did not expect: sadness. "General," she said formally, "I am Admiral of Earth's Defense Fleet. I have come to discuss terms." Terms stood despite pain from his injuries. "You have won. You do not need to discuss anything. You can dictate." "That is not how humans prefer to end wars, General. May we speak privately?" Led her to his office. The room was small and practical, decorated only with commendations from his long career. They sat across from each other, two military commanders who had spent months trying to kill each other. "You cost me 4,000 ships today," said. 4,000 ships that will never return home. How did you do it? Your technology is inferior. Your numbers were pathetic. By every measure, I should have won." Was quiet for a moment before answering. "May I be honest with you, General?" "Please, I deserve to understand my defeat." "You lost because you fought the war you wanted to fight, not the war we gave you. You expected us to line up our ships against yours and test strength against strength. You expected us to surrender when the math was against us. You expected us to follow rules. And humans do not follow rules. We follow one rule above all others: survive. Everything else is negotiable." Leaned forward. "General, do you know what you are, what your species is?" "We are the Empire. We have ruled this region of space for 10,000 years." "You are the lucky ones," said gently. "You evolved on a paradise world, beautiful weather, gentle seasons, no predators large enough to threaten you. You never had to fight for survival. You reached the top of your world's food chain through intelligence and cooperation, not through violence." "And humans? We are the unlucky ones. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every single day. Ice ages that lasted, predators that hunted us for food, diseases that killed half our population, volcanoes that blocked out the sun, earthquakes that destroyed our cities. We survived not because we were smart, but because we were too stubborn to die. Listen, his 4 eyes fixed on her face. We are persistence hunters, General. Do you know what that means? It means we chased our prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion and died. Not because we were faster, not because we were stronger, but because we never stopped chasing. That is what humanity is. We are the species that never stops. This is meant to frighten me. No, General, this is meant to make you understand. His voice was calm but firm. You asked how we won today. We won because 50 human pilots volunteered to fly their ships into your fleet and detonate themselves. Not because I ordered them, not because they had no choice. They volunteered. They said goodbye to their families, got in their ships, and sacrificed their lives willingly. Felt something cold in his stomach. Why would anyone do that? Because they knew what would happen if you reached Earth. Because they knew their deaths would save millions of others. Because humans understand that sometimes survival requires sacrifice. Stood and walked to the viewport looking at the debris field. Every one of those ships had a name. Every pilot had a family. Every death mattered. But they chose to die anyway because the alternative was worse. You are all insane. Perhaps, or perhaps we simply see reality more clearly than you do. Life is not peaceful, General. Life is struggle. Life is competition. Life is survival at any cost. Your species forgot that because your world was kind to you. Humans never had that luxury. Stood as well, moving beside her at the window. So what happens now? You have defeated the greatest fleet in history. Will you invade our worlds? Take revenge for all we have done? No. The answer surprised him. No. We do not want your territory, General. We do not want to conquer you. We just want to be left alone. Turned to face him. Humanity has fought enough wars. We have killed enough of our own species over the centuries. We came to space hopping to find something better, to build something better. We do not want more enemies. Then what are your terms? Simple. The Empire recognizes Earth and all human colonies as sovereign territory. Your forces withdraw from our space. Both sides establish diplomatic relations. And most importantly, we form a mutual defense pact. A defense pact. After this war, you want us as allies. I want to make sure we never fight again, said. Because, General, I will tell you a secret. Today hurt us badly. We lost 120 ships. 6,000 crew members dead or wounded. Earth's orbital infrastructure is damaged. We won, but barely. If you had been patient, if you had learned from your losses and adapted your tactics, eventually you would have won through sheer numbers. But I thought humans never surrender. We do not, which means if you had continued this war, we would have fought until both our civilizations destroyed each other. There would be no winners, only survivors, if any. Eyes were serious. I am offering you peace not because you are weak, but because continuing this war would be stupid. And humans are not stupid, just stubborn. Walked back to his desk and sat down. He felt old suddenly, tired. He had spent his life in military service, had fought in dozens of campaigns, had never questioned his purpose. Now he questioned everything. If I may ask, Admiral, what are these human beasts? I have seen your kind fight. I have watched humans do impossible things. What are you really? Smiled sadly. We are what you get when evolution puts intelligence into a predator's body and lets it survive on a death world for millions of years. We are what happens when a species learns that the universe is hostile and adapts accordingly. We are creatures who climb to the stars on mountains of our own dead, and we remember every lesson we learned along the way. She moved toward the door, then paused. But we are also capable of mercy, General. We remember our wars and choose peace. We remember our violence and choose creation. We remember our hate and choose understanding. We are beasts who learn to think. Never forget the first part, but do not ignore the second either. After she left, sat alone in his office for a long time. Around him, his crew worked to repair the ship. Outside, human vessels maintained their positions, ready to fight again if needed, but hoping they would not have to. He pulled up footage from the battle, watching it again. Human ships charging without fear. Human pilots making impossible maneuvers. Human crews fighting with injuries that should have killed them. And through it all, something he had not noticed before. They were protecting each other. Even in chaos, even in death, humans worked together. He thought about his own crew. Would they volunteer to die as those human pilots had? Would they sacrifice themselves for strangers? He was not certain. The Empire had been strong for so long that they had forgotten what strength really meant. 3 days later, peace talks began. The terms were exactly as Admiral had described: generous, fair, designed to prevent future conflict rather than punish past aggression. The High Counselors were relieved. War Matron Aura smiled with genuine happiness. Humanity had given the Empire a way to end the war with dignity intact. Attended the signing ceremony. He watched human and officials shake hands, make speeches about friendship and cooperation. It all seemed unreal. Months ago, he had been certain of human inferiority. Now he understood the truth. Humans were not inferior. They were different. And that difference made them possibly the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Not because of their technology or their numbers, but because of their spirit. That stubborn, crazy, beautiful spirit that refused to accept defeat. 1 year after the war ended, retired from military service. He took a position teaching at the War College. His most popular class was called Asymmetric Warfare, Lessons from the Human Conflict. On the first day of every class, he would tell his students the same thing. Never fight humans unless you have no choice. Not because you cannot win. You might win many battles. You might control more territory. You might kill more of them than they kill of you. But you will lose in the ways that matter. You will lose more than you gain. You will pay a price that no victory can justify. Then he would show them footage from the Battle of Earth. 50 ships sacrificing themselves. 300 ships defeating 10,000. Human faces laughing and crying and fighting and dying. And he would say, "These are not monsters. These are not demons. These are simply humans. Remember that, and hope you never have to fight them." At night still had nightmares. In his dreams, he saw human soldiers advancing with broken bodies. He saw human ships charging his fleet without hesitation. He saw human eyes, forward-facing predator eyes looking at him without fear. And he would wake up, his body shaking, understanding finally what he had faced. He had fought beasts who learned to think, predators who gained intelligence but never lost their killer instinct, creatures who evolved on a hell world and carried that hell with them to the stars. And the most terrifying part, they had been merciful. They had won and chosen peace, which meant somewhere inside those human beasts was something even more powerful than their violence: compassion, wisdom, hope. That realized was the real lesson. Humans were dangerous not just because they could kill, but because they could also choose not to. They had the strength to destroy and the wisdom to build. They were predators who dreamed of peace. On Earth, Captain Menu, Doctor, and Lieutenant sat in a quiet bar, watching the stars through a large window. The war was over. Peace had been achieved. Life was slowly returning to normal. "Do you think they will come back?" Menu asked, sipping his drink. Smiled, "No, we scared them properly. They understand now what it means to fight humans." Laughed, "Good, I prefer exploring to fighting anyway, though I must admit it was quite a thing we did." "What was?" Menu asked. "We made the galaxy's oldest empire kneel. We showed them that age and technology mean nothing compared to determination and courage. We proved that humans belong among the stars." They raised their glasses in a toast, to peace, to survival, to humanity. And across the galaxy, in a classroom on the former general finished his lecture and dismissed his students. They filed out quietly, their expressions thoughtful. He had taught them well. He looked at his hands, remembering the war, remembering the fear, and he was grateful, so very grateful that humanity had chosen peace. Because if they had chosen otherwise, if those human beasts had decided to conquer rather than coexist, the empire would have fallen. Not through lack of trying, not through weakness, but through simple mathematics. You cannot defeat an enemy who refuses to lose. You cannot outlast a species that evolved outlasting everything their world could throw at them. The humans were right about one thing. They were beasts, but they were beasts with souls, with dreams, with mercy, and that made them the most remarkable species had ever encountered. He hoped with everything he had that the peace would last, because another war with humanity was a nightmare he never wanted to experience again.